Hello and welcome to SikhMemories.com. My name is Surjit, and today we're with our part two with Mr. Surjit Singh Gandhi. And Mr. Gandhi, last time we were talking about the pretext to the '84 movement, and could you just give us a little build up to how this movement started?
In fact, in 1984, movement is very important movement, and this event is deep impacting. The more reasons leading to this catastrophe or event, ghastly event, were many. The first was that there was no recognition of Sikh community at political level in India. The second was we were minority, but we were not given any right in free India, even in constitution. Formerly, before partition, we were given promises that in free India you will be dealt with very benignly, very sympathetically, but that thing didn't happen. In the constitution, we were not given, even recognized, and as a result of that, our Sikh representatives didn't even put their signature on that document. So this, and then was another reason. We were after partition, in the wake of partition, we were simply dilapidated and absolutely shelterless. In fact, deeply and deeply sunken and penury were. But in India, we were not given even shelter, not allowed to move freely and do our work independently and pursue our any destination or pursue our our professions freely. So we were in fact thinking that we are living in an atmosphere which is not in fact amenable, which is not helpful to us to develop wholeheartedly and in all dimensions. The result was that we became desperate, also disappointed, and in 1984 we started asserting and requesting the government or political authorities that we must be recognized, our demand should be fulfilled, but no one paid any attention. The result was we naturally started agitation. On the other hand, there were people who were rigid and were not in a mood to even listen to us. And the ultimate upshot was there was, you see, conflict and ultimately clash. In that clash, if you just analyze, we were armless. We were in fact just protesting silently without any adopting any violent methods. But the people who were in power, they didn't like that. They wanted to suppress, not only suppress but crush us, and they started Blue Star operation. It was an operation to you see put an end to our identity. So there were certain reasons that this Blue Star operation happened or 1984 events took place.
So just to give us a little precursor to that, how do you think that this movement sort of originated? What were sort of the social and historical roots for this movement?
Yes, there were psychological reasons, there were certain very solid reasons, economic reasons also. Now, for instance, you know, Indian government spent so much, but in Punjab there was even single penny from central government was not invested. Rather, in fact, they should have given us help on a large scale because we had suffered a lot, but they didn't. So in a way, economically, we were being squeezed.
This is after the partition?
Just before, on the eve of 1844. Prior to that, even after that, even now that is there. So we are being squeezed, and naturally we will react. And when we react, our reaction was peaceful. But when nobody listens. So what to do? They thought that we are disintegrating Punjab, India, but that was not the fact. We never went to against. We never went against the interest of India. Never in history. You know, even freedom struggle, 80% sacrifices were made by the Sikhs, by our community. But after partition, when India was free, none even and tried to passive. Not only they didn't even try to recognize us. Just this was the thing. So economically we were very tight. We were not allowed to improve our economic condition. But then you saw what happened in the meanwhile. A green revolution took place. That gave, in fact, some sort of relief to our people. Because you know that our community consists mostly of the agriculturists. And then when they got some money, some respite, some relief, they began to think on a larger scale. Then they were more upset. What is happening? Yani we are, in fact, we are doing so much for the country because you know that Punjab produces wheat for the whole of India. If Punjab doesn't produce wheat on this scale, India would have suffered, you see, hunger, acute type of hunger. So we are doing so. In fact, Sikh community's contribution to India is so much, but somehow they didn't bother about us. So naturally, when you are not being recognized, you are being taunted, you are being insulted, you are being humiliated, you will have to sometimes react violently also. And out of that reaction, there was Pindramwala. He was the leader of that reaction.
So let's actually look at that political movement because there were a lot of groups involved, especially the Akali Dal, then Bhindranwale.
In fact, when the movement started, the movement in that movement, there are people who can't. In effect, there are many people involved. Many people of many, you see, psychological mental makeup. So there were people who were mostly there were people who believed in peaceful agitation, but some of them there were who wanted that we will fight and we will adopt any means to get our aim fulfilled. So there was so simply, but the aim was the same: to get emancipation, to get freedom, to get recognition. Aim was the same, but how to get that, achieve the, you see, consummate that aim, approaches were different. One of the approach was to just violence, to indulge even in violence to get the aim, because our aim or the target that is very that we must achieve, because that, you see, in fact, in that our emancipation lies. So that was the reason.
Okay. So I mean, a lot of the movement started through the struggle for Punjab to get more rights, especially the Akali Dal movement.
No, try to. There are. I think you must first try to get clear idea about Akalis. There are Akali Dal is a political party nowadays. So Akali Dal stand to begin. Now it has become Punjabi party, but it was a political party to take care of the interest of the Sikhs.
Right.
So that, in fact, they naturally were upset when the Sikhs were not given their rights and their identity was even not recognized. So that.
So I mean, like when the Akali Dal tried for the Sabha movement, or for our viewers, really just try for a Punjabi-speaking state itself.
There are many steps to get our aims.
Mm-hmm.
The main aim was to be recognized as a separate and respectful identity. and to get rights also, political rights, to just sustain that or to promote that. This was our target. So Akali Dal was for this from the very beginning after partition. So in when on that very road, language has a part to. Language was a very great important factor. Try to understand what is language. Language is our identity. Language is our identity. Language, in fact, embodies your feelings. Language represents your feelings. Your expression that if you express yourself completely only in your mother tongue. So, in fact, there was thinking among the Hindus, if their language is smothered and finished, they will automatically snap their links with their culture, their religion. You know, okay, the culture, there are many ingredients of culture. One of the most important ingredient of the culture is religion. Religion, you know yourself, religion, the impact is very vast and very deep, always. So therefore they wanted to smother language, to de-link it with Punjabi language by telling, by you see, in fact, trying to impose on us that your language is no language. It's just a dialect. It's not a language. So we wanted a language, our language. We wanted to emphasize and also to pressurize that language is our language is Punjabi language, and we tried for that. And even to get recognition for language only, we had to struggle a lot. Many agitation. Punjabi Suba was only for language, like that. So, in fact, protection of language was in a way was a protection of our culture and religion. Therefore, we started language. In a Akali Dal said language must be there, but other people didn't recognize our language. Oh, Hindu population of Punjab didn't recognize, rejected rather this. This is no language. They said that this is no language. There is no language at all. While they were absolutely wrong.
So they said that Punjabi was a dialect of Hindi.
Of Sindhi?
Yeah.
No,
of
no.
Hindi.
No, Punjabi is a language full-fledged. Sindhi is another
No, I'm sorry,
language.
Hindi.
Hindi. Try to, if you know some literature, if you try to understand the origin, the first is Sanskrit. The second is up branch. Then third is then Punjabi, then Hindi. This is the order. Punjabi is older than Hindi. Script, of course, is not, but Punjabi is older than Hindi.
So the feeling was by the Hindus that if they granted Punjabi as the main language for Punjab as a state, then from there, this entire transformation would take place. Was that sort of the fear of Hindus?
No, we thought that if Punjabi is eliminated, we thought that then, because our culture, Punjabi in fact embodies our culture. Punjabi and our culture can be, you can say that they are synonyms. So if Punjabi is eliminated, so we will be de-linked with our literature, with our culture, which can be expressed only in Punjabi. So there in fact policy was that we should get de-linked with Punjabi, so that we might not be able to after some time, say after a year or after a century or so, we will naturally to see abjure or abandon Sikhism or kya. Their interest, and then with the abandon Sikhism, so naturally you will go to the Hindu fold or to Muslim fold. but they thought that they will enter the Hindu fold because most of our ancestors were Hindus to begin with. This was the reason.
So what was sort of the government's response to this movement?
Government?
Yeah.
The government response to begin with it was very poor, rather anti-Punjabi. But then when we put pressure and made sacrifice, ultimately they had to agree. And now, of course, Punjabi is there in Punjab as first language. And we have accepted Hindi as national language, but our mother tongue is Punjabi. And in Punjab, Punjabi, in official business also it is recognized. Now it's progressing also. And we are expressing in a better manner. So, this is the story.
So how do you think that language debate really spurred the movement in the 80s? Do you think it had an effect on the movement?
Punjabi.
Yeah, this debate between Hindus and Sikhs.
In fact, this is one only a factor, not the whole.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the in fact causes. You can say like that. Okay, there are many causes, but one of them this is.
Would you say this is one of the main political causes?
This mostly it was political, or behind political there was cultural aspect also. Side. After all, what is political? Certain things you want to get through policy. That thing becomes political. But there are certain things in your mind. If I say the Khalsa Raj, what is that? In fact, we want our culture should be there. Our thinking should prevail. This in fact everything which is you call political has got a background or has got social things also within that. So this is something political or social or economic, they go together. All the causes. To just compartmentalize them into tight, it's not possible.
So could we talk a little bit about sort of when the movement was building up, how the influences really changed the movement? Like if we look at Singh, how he was sort of a person that could change the movement as a whole, how one person could do that. Could you talk about the factors involved with his rise?
No, what do you mean? I have not been able to understand your question.
Right, for Binderwala himself, could you talk about how he came to power?
How we came to power?
Binderwala.
No, we in future you want to say. I think you mean how we, in fact, how we can be recognized. This is your question.
No, my question was about Sant Jarnail Singh Binderwala.
Only with reference to Binderwala. Right. Binderwala's, in fact, he represented our interests. But the way to get those interests to consummate it on practical level was in fact very assertive. That way was assertive, very assertive, sometimes touching violence. He didn't think violence should not be used. He thought when you see, in fact we used to say Chukaraz hama hilte dargudast halalast burdan pe bar shamshir das. When everything, you must in fact imply everything peacefully, but when those things fail, you are authorized, you have got every right to use violence also. Guru Gobind Singh, this is the in fact version of Guru Gobind Singh, so he used to quote that. But he was a good man. He wanted welfare of the community, and when he thought there is no hope from the people who can, you see, helpful or who are in the government, he started speaking against them. So when you start speaking against them, so some people, when they listen, they go, you see, certain beyond certain levels and the limits also. They sometimes use filthy language. They sometimes use violent methods also. But he was genuine man. He wanted the welfare of the community.
What did people think of him?
What
did people think of him?
People, only people generally know. They respect him. They don't speak against him.
What about the different political groups as well?
There are many political groups. When you say political groups, political group means political parties.
Right.
There are different. There are political groups, there are political parties. Political party Akali Dal, Congress, BJP, all were involved. But in their the motives were different. Akali Dal wanted the integrity of the Sikh and identity of the Sikhs must be protected. BJP wanted that they should not succeed. Congress wanted they should get their own aims fulfilled. Right? So they were, but this Akali Dal or Pindranwala wanted community's interest. There is no doubt about it. Then there are political groups. So within those parties there are many political groups. So in Akali Dal there were political groups. One was Santar Chand Singh group, the other was Pindranwala group. There was another Panthak Akali Dal, other group. There are 5 or 6 groups. So in Congress there were groups, in BJP there were groups. Like that. There is a difference between political groups and political parties.
So can we talk about different factors that contributed to this movement, such as the rise of the press, the media? How did that affect the movement?
In fact, media, let me tell you, I was sitting in the library here in Fairlawn. So there were files of the editorials of different newspapers, important newspapers. For instance, Washington Post, for instance, New York Times, and other. So I takriban 4 or 20 files I went through. Not even a single word was there about the Sikhs, about Blue Star, about 84A. And if there was any, that was against the Sikhs. The media sometimes can be bribed. Media sometimes can be misled. Problem is there. At that time, Indira Gandhi or those people who were in power, they in fact gave strict instruction to the orders to the government agencies that no newspaper or any magazine be allowed to give the true story. This was one. Even outside, the Indian government has arranged and manipulated in such a way that there was no editorial written on Blue Star. Such a big event happened. No. And everybody said that Sikhs are wrong. Vindrala's wrong. Qatal, this and that. Murder, yeah, so many things of this type. So nowadays there is a difference because there is the Facebooks, there are YouTubes and so many things. Now it's very difficult to hide anything. But in those days, the government managed not to get the news out of India or to get so much publicity.
Because there was a blackout in Punjab, right? During Operation Blue Star.
It was?
There was a blackout?
Absolutely. In newspaper, Punjabi newspaper, even Tribune is one of the biggest newspapers. No, nothing written. Even today you can see. you can access to the papers of that time for quite a long time, where no news practically, just one line. That's all.
During the actual Operation Blue Star, there weren't many reporters, were there?
And what do you? I have not been able to understand.
The government moved out the reporters from Punjab, right?
Yes.
During the actual Operation Blue Star.
After RX
During
during.
Blue Star.
No, government from government side you can hear nothing about Blue Star, but there are now many people who have written good books also on Blue Star. Recently, there is a book by Ajit Singh. He was a judge in the High Court. So in that book, you will find lot of information or very correct information. So you have also now just seen on TV this listen to Mr. Sandawalia. In YouTube you can, there are so in fact 10 CD you see. So he gave us information about Blue Star. He interviewed people who took part in Blue Star, and those army officers or other officers who are intimately connected with it, and then he has given the profile in the TV. And on YouTube you can listen to his speeches, to the 10 I think intense. You can read.
Yeah, no, we'll put a link online.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I have just listened only one CD of that man. So wonderful. So now, of course, there are certain IAS officers. Recently, another book has been published. He was an IAS officer, intimately connected with the policy making. So he has written. So from when you read all these books, you will come to the conclusion that government was largely responsible, largely only.
So, if we can look at at the time, how video cassettes were very important in delivering the message. Do you see that as a major factor?
Me speaking?
Yeah.
Well, my message is simply this: done is done, past is past. But past has got only one function, that it gives certain lessons, and the lessons which we must learn is this, that we must stick to our model which Guru Nanak fashioned to uplift humanity. First thing. The second thing is we must think that we can be recognized in this world only if you are wonderful people, excellent people. You must achieve excellence like the Jews. You know, I think you know, there is only 1 crore and 70 lakhs Jews in the whole world, and 50% live in Israel, 40% live in United States, 10. So their achievement in the world is almost 80%. In nuclear science, they have done wonder. Einstein was Jew. In literature, they have done wonders. Even Freud, in philosophy, they have done wonders. In every sphere, engineering, they have done wonders. Or in a way, this is a lesson which we must learn. Our individual must be excellent. If you are a student, you must be A1 student. If you are a doctor, you must be A1 doctor. If you are A1 doctor, people will have to come to you. They might not like you, but they will have to come to you. You will have to be recognized. So this is the next is that we must remain united, as the Jews have always remained united, whether they were being, persecuted, whether they were not persecuted, always they remained united. So these are the or next they must try to well these are I think they must excel in every sphere. This is the message.
I just have a few more questions because one topic that has not really been researched as much or been documented is the guerrilla movement after '84. Can you
Yes,
speak to that?
yes. No doubt, I agree with you. There should be solid attempts to document all those events which happened, and I'm very in a way. I'm sorry to share with you that up till now, systematic and you see attempt has not been made to document all those events. So after some time, if this happens, people will forget, and we won't be able to get a very good picture of the events. So there is a need. Still, people are some of them are still alive. You can get first-hand information. After some time, after 50 or 60 years, or after some time, it will not be possible to have draw a detailed picture of the whole event. Gossip, it was a very something.
It's a very fragmented movement, though, right?
Yes, it is fragmented.
So it's a very complex way to actually.
Now, of course, some attempts were feeble. There are certain attempts being made individuals, but this is not the task of an individual. It is task of an organization because it involves a lot of work to people. It involves a lot of labor, which no single man can do it. Because you will have to consult many sources. So now you will do that.
No, it's definitely a cause that I feel needs to be accomplished, just because it's very complicated, right? And it's a movement that dealt, hand in hand with sort of the police that were trying to stop the movement itself, right?
No, no, you are correct. I've got nothing to add. This is very.
So do you have any final words for our viewers on this movement, specifically the Khalistan movement?
Okay, to my mind, we will have to reappraise Khalsa ideals, even Khalsa movement also. Whether it is possible, if it is not possible, where it is possible, there are many things which are not clear about it. Where? Because we have got no area where we are in majority. Where? And if it is possible, for what? What will be our program? Even in Gurdwara we fight with each other on nothing, no issue, and then if there is a Khalistan suppose, you will go on fighting like this. So then of course what type of constitution there will be, you must be clear. What type of government you will form, you must be clear. What type of economic policy you will form, what type of relation you will evolve. There are many things. So these questions must be very clearly defined and understood. So because such things are not clear, so at this moment, if we start movement, we will again face disaster. Next, so for all this you will have to, my proposal, my thinking is this, instead of that, we must try to improve on an individual basis. Every Sikh individual, that must be A1, excellent. So then we will ultimately, naturally prevail, as Jews have prevailed ultimately. Israel, they have got. Ultimately you will also get. But you will have to prepare yourself. logically, intelligently, wisely. But at this moment, you must, in fact, you must take care of your personal ethics. And what are the ingredients of personal ethics? Number one, wisdom. Number two, temperance, control over your emotions. Number two, courage. Number three, courage. So there are 7 ingredients, in fact, ingredients of personal ethics you will have to develop. And there, truthfulness, this is another factor. So then there is social ethics. On social ethics, there are many. The main, in fact, principle of social ethics is equality, harmony, and love. So you will have to develop all these things. You will have to develop on these lines social ethics. So there should be, must be strong in personal ethics, and you must be strong in social ethics. But then you will automatically emerge to a very good man and great man. So when everything is you are falling, so you will automatically emerge as a big man, excellent man. So like when you become excellent man, naturally you will attract the attention. On Sikhs in 18th century became excellent. You know, at that moment, one of the moment in the Sikh history was that there were only 3,000 Sikhs in the whole of India. Only 3,000. Only 3,000. Some scholars says 6,000. I say 3,000. Okay, 6,000. So 6,000 is not a large number. But then ultimately we swelled the whole of Punjab, and we established our rule also. We were in minority, not more than 10% of the whole of Punjab, Sikhs, even during Ranjit Singh. But we were ruler from Jamuna to Khyber Pass. Here, this was the kingdom of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And beautiful Raj in the world. You did it because you were excellent. Now we are not excellent. We in fact depend on you people, new generation. You will become excellent. When you are, I wish and pray that you should be excellent. In whatever field you like, you must be excellent. Suppose if you are, if you stand first in the class, teacher will love you, students will love you, respect you, and the country will also respect you. If you are a good engineer, so naturally you are needed. This is how I feel. So,
those are very kind words. No, but just last few questions. Do you think that this movement compares to any other time in Sikh history?
Yes, many times. In fact, in Punjabi we call it Kalukara. यानी थोड़ा cornage है ना, that is equivalent in Punjabi is Kalukara. There are many Kalukaras, many cornages in Sikh history. The first was June 1746, and the second was the Sikhs were butchered by Yahiya Khan, the governor of Punjab. Butchered. Then the second was 5th February 1762. When that time the Sikhs were butchered in one day, 40,000 Sikhs were butchered at Kup Harir, near my place, where I am at Sangrur, but from Sangrur only 20 miles. At that place, 40,000 Sikhs in one day. Understand? Then there was in Ranjit Singh's when 1849, when the British occupied Punjab. After Ranjit Singh, 1849. So many people were killed. In fact, in the area which is known as Majha, in the middle of the Punjab, that is known as Majha. In that area, there was people. Now the documents are out, and we can quote from those documents. Only those people were allowed to live who were either very old in my age or just old. Old means old, and or very are children. Otherwise, all the youths, they were killed. And then next, you see 47.
So, do you have any message to our viewers? Any last words about this topic?
I simply, my two or three things I want to tell you. Number one, the people, our individuals, Sikh individuals must be excellent morally. And number two, they must have full faith in Guru Nanak's message. Number three, they should always remain in charity club, because we are spirit born people. We are not human beings like others. We are spirit born people. We are not small ordinary beings. We must spirit born people. Or now next, we must try that to evolve, to in fact try to evolve such a society where there is a perfect equality. And next, we must follow the rules of personal ethics and social ethics. That's all.
Great. Thank you so much
Huh?
for being on the show. Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you.
So, thank you too. And the next 84. 5 Kalugaras or cornages, I can tell you.
So, after each one, did you see any sort of trend?
Any sort of?
Any sort of trend after that? Any sort of build up?
No, of course.
Yeah.
No, in fact, it depends upon events, history. Where, what direction history will take, it depends upon that. It can be repeated, it may not be repeated. It depends on that. Suppose if there is a Muslim rule in India, it will be repeated. Suppose any communal organization comes into power, it may be repeated, may not be repeated, but it may be repeated. Possibility is there.